Okay, so we're just going to take some really quick notes about scientific notation. Again, a lot of this is going to be a review because I'm sure you've seen scientific notation before, but let's just write down what scientific notation is used for. So, scientific notation is basically an easy method we use for dealing with large numbers, like numbers with lots of zeros, or really small numbers that have lots of zeros in front of them. Okay, so scientific notation looks like this. So it looks like 6.022. There's always a multiply sign and then a 10. And then this number up here is called an exponent. So I will be talking about the exponent sometimes. You need to know that that number is the exponent right there. Okay, now with your exponent, if you have a negative exponent, that means you're dealing with a really small number. So, for example, 0.00002 would be 2 times 10 to the negative fifth. So really small numbers are negative exponents. Positive exponents are really big numbers. So, for example, 50 million would be the same thing as 5 times 10 to the 7th. Okay, and I'll show you how to convert between these in just a second. All right, so that's all the information you need. Now I'm just going to give you some examples. So, example number 1. Let's write 3.4 times 10 to the 6th in standard notation. Standard notation just means not scientific notation, so like normal notation. So what we need to do is look at the 6. It's a positive exponent, so we know this is going to need to turn into a big number. So that means we are going to move the decimal to the right, and the exponent tells us how many times we need to move the decimal. So if we've got 3.4, we need to move it 6 places to the right because I need a big number. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And each of those spaces gets a 0. Notice I did not add 6 zeros. I only ended up adding 5 because that first move of the decimal point was just moving from between the 3 and the 4 to after the 4. So don't just assume that 6 means 6 zeros. So then if I write that out a little nicer, it looks like that. Okay, let's do another example, but with a negative. So we're going to write 3.4 times 10 to the negative 6th in standard notation. So we're starting out with the same thing, but because it's a negative exponent, that means it needs to be a small number. So I'm going to end up moving the decimal to the left. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so then I fill in these 5 spaces with zeros. So if I write that out a little nicer, looks like that. Okay, so let's do a couple of examples where I want to go into scientific notation. So let's give us a number. Let's do 0.000304. Okay, I want to put that in scientific notation. The rule is I need to have just one number in front of the decimal point. If I have any more than one number in front, then it's wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to stop right there because I now have one non-zero number in front of the decimal point. So it would be 3.04. And since I moved it to the right, or since this was a small number to start with, it's going to be negative. Okay, just for me, it's easiest to just think if this is a small number, the exponent's going to be negative. Okay, last example. Let's do a bigger number. So this time we're going to write 702 million in scientific notation. I'm going to abbreviate that. This should say the same thing. So my decimal point is right here. Right now there's a bunch of numbers in front of it. I need there to just be one non-zero number. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's going to be 7.02 times 10, and then it's going to be a positive 8 because this is a big number. So that's how you get things into and out of scientific notation. Okay, one last thing. I want you to be able to do scientific notation in your calculator. So let's say, well actually let me just show you how to put it in on your calculator first. So let's say we want to put in our calculator this number, 7.02 times 10 to the 8th. So if you'll notice on these calculators that I have in class, and you might have one like it, there's above this x to the -1, there's 2 capital E's. Okay, that will help you a lot with scientific notation. You want to look for that. So that capital E, those capital E's, they mean times 10 to that. So we're going to write that down right here. In the calculator, EE, or sometimes you'll just see one capital E, but it has to be capital. There's also a lowercase e on your calculator, and that's something completely different. That means times 10 to the. Okay, so just to show you, we're talking about this E, not, where's the lowercase e on this calculator? Not this E, not this lowercase e right here, okay? Capital E. So, to do 7.02 times 10 to the 8th, I would just type 7.02, and then I have to hit the second button to get that capital E. So I hit second, and then that capital E means times 10 to the. So I don't have to hit times, I don't have to hit 10, and I don't have to hit the exponent button. And then my exponent is 8, so I just hit 8. 7.02 e to the 8th. Okay, so here's our example. 7.02 times 10 to the 8th in the calculator is going to be 7.02 e to the 8th. That's what it should look like. This is really useful for if you're multiplying scientific notation. So let's say we wanted to do this number, 3.04 times 10 to the -4 times 7.02 times 10 to the 8th. We would just type 3.4 e -4 times 7.02 e 8, and that's my answer.